What is up, everyone, and welcome to Men vs. Movies. Now, I'm Griffin, as always, and I know what you're wondering. I know what it is. Why am I wearing headphones right now? This is so weird. Well, I'll tell you why I'm wearing headphones. It's because I'm doing another collaboration with, guess who? Tyler Tompkins. Tyler, say hello to everyone.
What's up, everyone? It's good to be back, and again, we're tackling another really hard list to put together, but I'm excited to be here, as always.
Yes, it's going to be a good time. So as Tyler alluded to, we're doing another ranking list of some sorts. This is going to be a top 5 Martin Scorsese films list. Yes, I know. Very hard because the man has really never made a bad film, but we figured we'd do this because last Friday was Martin Scorsese's 75th anniversary. Hard to believe that this guy is 75. I mean, he's a cinema legend. The man lives and breathes cinema, and he really doesn't show his age in his movies. The guy just keeps cranking out very modern and relevant films. So it's really just... Martin Scorsese is one of the greats. He's my third favorite filmmaker of all time. I can't praise the man enough. He is so incredible. Wouldn't you agree, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like you said, he's the fact that he's that old and can continue to make better movies than like 90% of all other filmmakers is really impressive. I mean, even some of his most recent movies are some of my more favorite movies to come out in the past couple of years, so it's really impressive.
All right, let's get into this. So the way this whole thing is going to work is that we're going to trade one apiece until we get to our number one, and then we're going to reveal it, and that's the way the whole thing is going to go. So be sure to leave your top 5 Scorsese films in the list down below. Tyler, I'm going to have you go first, but I have a confession to make. I need to say this to the camera right now because it's a little embarrassing. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm a huge Martin Scorsese fan. I've seen basically all of his films, except one very important film, and that is Taxi Driver. I've never seen Taxi Driver, guys. I know. It's something that I'm ashamed of, and unfortunately, that means Taxi Driver is not going to be on my list. It probably would be, but I haven't seen the film, so I can't comment on it. Please don't kill me.
You might as well make like a top 4 list, because there's no point making a top 5.
Yeah, basically. All right, Tyler, without further ado, what is your number 5?
Yeah, my number 5, I actually have two of what I consider to be some of his more underrated movies in my list, but coming in at number 5 is one of those, and that's The King of Comedy. Have you seen this one before?
Yes, I've seen it once, very long ago, so I don't remember it as well as I should, but the one scene that I always remember is the restaurant scene, dude. It's just... De Niro is so good in this movie.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why he comes in at number 5. I actually watched this movie for the first time probably like 3 or 4 years ago, and I've only seen it once, but it had such a strong impact on me. And it was so memorable. Like almost every scene was just memorable, and I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. But basically, it's about this guy named Rupert Pupkin. I mean, it's such a memorable name. Played by Robert De Niro, who wants to be a comedian and also like a late night television host. So he kidnaps a late night television host and demands him to let him be on his show, and if he doesn't, then he won't let him go. So it's this crazy black comedy, but it totally works. And De Niro, it's one of his best performances ever. It's so good.
It's so out of the box for him, really, which is why I love it. And I love that Jerry Lewis is in this movie, dude. Jerry Lewis is awesome in this. Actually, if I had honorable mentions, this would totally be an honorable mention for me. And I think you're not too far off. A lot of people would probably have this in their top 5s, I feel so.
Oh yeah, it definitely top 10. I mean, if we were doing top 10, I'm sure. Yeah, it'd definitely be up there.
All right, I guess that means it's time for my number 5. Okay, so my number 5 is a truly great crime film. And it's weird because when I first watched this movie, I was like, is this how he's going to do the movie the entire time? And this is like a 3-hour long movie. And I was just like, I don't know if I like this. But then the more I watched it, I loved it. And it's a movie that I haven't seen in a while. I need to go revisit it again because it stuck with me since the first time I watched it. Number 5 is Casino. Casino is awesome. I mean, we've got De Niro and Pesci in it. Again, those are like, you know, Scorsese's golden boys from like the 90s and 80s and such. So really, like, this movie is just set up to be great. And I guess the thing that I love about it is that it's not your typical gangster film. It's more of like business mobsters, I guess you could say, because like they're in the casino business. They're all about making money and stuff like that. And the thing I love about it is that it's told through like Robert De Niro's narration, and actually I'm pretty sure Pesci has narration in there too. It's like the whole movie is just narration. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, I've only seen the movie once, but again, it's a lot of scenes were memorable in the overall plot. I mean, like you said, it's realistic because it's all about the business of how they run the casino and everything.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there's like some shady stuff that goes down there, and it makes you wonder, like, how much of this actually happens in real life? It's very believable, but I love the dynamic between De Niro and Pesci in this movie. They're great combatants. I mean, they start off as friends, and then obviously, as the film goes on, they start to become enemies, and that whole thing is done really, really well. I mean, my only negative with it is that it's 3 hours, so it's a lot to sit through, but the movie actually has a fairly brisk pace to it, I would say. Like, it moves. You never sense a dull moment in it. And the whole narration thing caught me off guard the first time, but I really dug it. I thought it was one of the things that made this movie stand out to me. Is it Scorsese's best crime film? No, but it's really memorable, and it's different from other stuff that he's done. So that's why that is coming in at number 5. All right, Tyler, going back to you, number 4.
Yeah, okay, so my number 4, it's another underrated Scorsese movie, and it might be his most underrated or underseen movie in my opinion, but I watched it for the first time a couple of years ago. It's a movie I've been meaning to watch for years, and that's Cape Fear, with another Robert De Niro movie.
Okay, I can respect that. I can totally respect that. Yeah, I've once again, this is another one. I have seen like just about all of his movies once.
I'm kind of the same way, but this one again left kind of a strong impact on me. Immediately after I saw it, I went and got the Blu-ray, and I really like stories like this. It's about a lawyer who puts Robert De Niro's character away for an offense that he really didn't do. Like, he could have saved him from going to jail, but after like 14 years, he comes back and goes after the family, and the lawyer, he kind of has to turn against all that he believes to protect his family. And I really like stories like that. And again, it's another fantastic De Niro performance. Like, Scorsese brings out the best in De Niro every single time.
He really does. I mean, it's kind of insane how great he's able to just pull these performances out of De Niro. But yeah, I mean, for me, that one's, on the lower end for his stuff. I really like it. I mean, once again, even his worst movies, quote unquote, are not worst movies. They're still quality films. I would agree with you. It is one of his more underrated films. There is one movie that I think is even more underrated. You may have it on your list, so I don't want to touch on it yet. But if we get to the end of this and it's not, I'll tell you what it is. It just barely didn't make my list. But anyways, no. Cape Fear, though, yeah, all around it's a solid film.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
And I also like. I don't know if you remember it well enough, but it has like a theme throughout the movie, like the score. And the theme is super memorable. I don't know if you remember it, but you should go back and listen to it.
I don't remember it like exactly, but I mean, once again, it's one of the things where I do remember it helped with the atmosphere of the movie, I guess you could say. So it's perfect. It matched that perfectly. Yeah. And again, it's just just to hit on his performance one more time. I mean, it's just crazy how drastically different every character he plays in a Scorsese movie. Like I mentioned earlier, Richard Pupkin, then his character in Casino, this character in Cape Fear. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are all super different characters, and it's really impressive. Oh yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is. Okay, so I guess that means it's my turn for number 4. All right, number 4 is The Wolf of Wall Street. The Wolf of Wall Street, ever since it came out, really became a pop culture just icon, a staple. Like, everyone was going to watch this movie. And I remember it. It's just because the story is so outrageous. It's about this Jordan Belfort who gets involved in Wall Street during the 1980s and just starts his own penny stocks, company, and just starts racking up the money, man. I mean, it's an incredible story. It's insane. The only man who could have tackled this and made it worthwhile is Martin Scorsese. It's right up his alley. It's another 3-hour long movie, but once again, you don't feel the length in this film. It's just so enjoyable, so outlandish. DiCaprio is fantastic. I love that he was nominated for this. I don't think it's his best performance, but I think it's one of his better ones. It's a really solid one. Margot Robbie is great as the romantic lead in this. Her and DiCaprio have a very nice dynamic. But I will say the one guy that I loved probably right under DiCaprio was Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill blew me away in this film, man. He plays such a different character that he's used to playing. He's in the teeth, man, the white teeth. It's crazy stuff, man. This movie, the fact that this came out in like 2013, it was directed by like a 70-something-year-old man, is insane. Like, Martin Scorsese is a rock star for putting this out, and I think it's one of his more bold films that he's made as of late, to be quite honest with you. It's one of the films on this list that I think is slightly bolder than this, but really this movie is just balls to the walls entertaining. If you've never seen The Wolf of Wall Street, who are you? But anyways, I could talk about this movie till the cows come home. Honestly, there's so much in here to discuss. But the main point of this is that Wolf of Wall Street is an awesome film. DiCaprio, fantastic. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you haven't seen it, who are you? Anyways, that's why Wolf of Wall Street is at number 4. Back to you, Tyler.
Yeah, so my number 3 is a movie apparently you've never seen, called Taxi Driver.
I know, man, it's just like, I own it. I own the Blu-ray. I could look to the side here. As you can see, I'm looking to the side. I see it. I actually see it.
Well, at the end of the day, I kind of envy you because you get to experience it for the first time. So
yeah, that's true. It is kind of nice to have those, classic films that you've never seen, and just, you watch them and you're just like, wow,
Exactly. And I'm not going to talk too much about it just since you haven't seen it. What I will say is just really quick what it's about. It's about a guy named Travis Bickle, who's one of the best characters in any movie of all time. Yet again, another Robert De Niro performance. I mean,
that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Again, this might be his best performance of all time, just because he doesn't do a lot on the outside. He does a lot on the inside, which in the end actually makes him look like he's doing a lot on the outside. Like, he's really good. He shows off his versatility and range a lot in this movie. And this came before,
sure,
Cape Fear and The King of Comedy. So again, another solid performance, but it's about a guy who basically takes on the New York City nightlife. He gets involved with this 12-year-old prostitute played by Jodie Foster. Very similar to Nightcrawler. If you like that kind of movie, this is exactly like that. So, I mean, 100% recommended. You definitely have to check this one out.
Oh yeah, I may end up watching that movie this weekend. It'll probably happen. It's due for a watch. Please don't hate me, people. I'll watch it eventually. Anyways, okay, back to me for number 3. Now, number 3 for me is, once again, one of Scorsese's most underrated films, but I would actually say it's underrated because it's underseen. It's his most recent one, and that is Silence. If you've ever seen my review of Silence, I gave it a glowing review, extremely positive. I love this movie to hell. It is absolutely jaw-dropping, impactful, well acted to the nteenth times. I mean, I could go on. Andrew Garfield gives what I think is his best performance today. I actually think he's better in Silence than he was in Hacksaw Ridge, and should have been nominated for Silence. And we all know how good he was in Hacksaw Ridge, so that's a testament to how good he is in Silence. But it's not just Andrew Garfield, even though the movie really is all about him. Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, is fantastic as his co-missionary. Both of them go to feudal Japan, essentially to find their lost mentor, who they've heard rumblings of. Maybe he's become like one of the Japanese persecutors or something like that. They hear rumblings of them in Portugal, and so they go to Japan to rescue him, essentially, and also to find out what the heck is going on. And so when they get to Japan, they find out that these persecutors are killing Christians. They haven't been accepting of the missionaries coming over to, do the Lord's will and such. And so Andrew Garfield finds himself conflicted in terms of faith, in terms of morality, in terms of everything. And he finds himself in many situations where he's asking, if I do this, will I lose all of my faith and stuff like that? And it asks a lot of questions like that. And it's a very bold film in that regard. I mentioned how The Wolf of Wall Street is a bold movie. I think this one is his boldest film that he's probably ever made, and it's his most personal film that he's ever made, being a good Catholic that he is. And you could definitely tell that this was very important for him to make. It meant a lot to him. And the crazy part about it is that it doesn't feel like a Scorsese film aside from the length. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. It's so refreshing in that regard to see him do something like this. I think the only other film I can compare it to that he's ever done is The Last Temptation of Christ. That's about it.
I'll quickly just add on that. I really like that movie. I kind of struggle with it just because sometimes I really struggle with what with what it's about. I have a couple of questions regarding some of the scenes in it. But man, dude, again, it's the only Scorsese movie that doesn't feel like a Scorsese movie, yet it's still masterfully made like a Scorsese movie. I totally understand why it's on your list. It's really a really well made movie, and with some of the best performances of that year.
I completely agree. It blew me away because I was expecting greatness. I just wasn't expecting it to be that great. And that's why it's at number 3 on my list. So, Tyler, back to you for number 2.
Yeah, okay, so my number 2 is a movie that was already on your list, and that's The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, wow. So you really love this movie.
Dude, you hit already on a lot of the things that I love about this movie. And just to kind of quickly add on to what you were saying, I think this movie is like a modern day masterpiece. I think it's going to go down as a classic one day. People are going to remember this movie as a classic. And to be able to make a 3-hour movie like this in a weird world that we live in right now with weird superhero movie cuts and people being afraid to release movies, like super long movies in the movie theater, the studio actually let Scorsese release a movie like this that's 3 hours long in the movie theater. That's phenomenal, and there's not a dull moment in the entire movie from start to finish. It doesn't feel like a 3-hour movie at all.
Right. It flies by just because you're so invested in just like locked into what's going on. And the thing I love about it is that, like you said, it's a 3-hour long movie, yet it's so like universally loved by people, just like in pop culture in general. Like your general movie going audience has probably seen this movie and has probably really enjoyed it, which is, for a 3-hour long movie, that's insane.
Side note, I think this movie has like one of the best scripts ever written, like of all time.
It's a fantastic script, man. I can't really argue with you on that.
Yeah, I mean it's so vulgar and so bad and so wrong in so many ways, but it's just so well written.
It is. It's fantastic. There's only one Scorsese movie that I think is probably better written. Well, okay, maybe 2 that I think are probably better written than that. But it's one of the greats, man. I can't complain with where you place that. Okay, all right. My number 2. My number 2 is gonna surprise you because a lot of people probably have this as their number 1. I can't argue with you if it is your number 1 because it's a masterpiece of a film. I mean, we got Henry Hill played by Ray Liotta brilliantly, and it's just his chronicle through becoming a gangster, how he got involved, how it was just a downward spiral from basically the get-go. I mean, the man was not destined to end up in a good place by the end of this. So we have electric performances here. I mean, we have iconic scenes like, oh, you think I'm a funny guy? You think I'm a funny guy? Like, all that stuff is just brilliant. This is another Scorsese script that I think is at least, I would say, on par with Wolf of Wall Street, if not a little bit better. The paranoia that is expressed through De Niro's character as the movie goes on, as they get closer to getting caught. Pesci, what can you say? Like, the guy is just... This is like Joe
won the Oscar for the movie, man.
I know. It was a well-deserved Oscar win. Like, Pesci has never been better, in my opinion. And Ray Liotta too. It's like, this is probably the best.
He's really good.
Exactly. And you look at him now and you're like, oh, he's a kind of a B movie actor. This is the best performance he's ever given. I mean, the best part about it is that you dive deep into the gangster world and you get the cool elements of it. You understand why Henry wants to be a gangster, growing up in the way he grew up and such like that. But then you get the other end of the spectrum where it's like, yeah, it's a really shitty lifestyle. They're psychopaths. You would never want to go into this line of work. It's just, you get all of this stuff mismatching, throw in some great Rolling Stones tunes and whatnot. This is a Scorsese classic. This is probably his magnum opus, I would go out there and say. There's one film that I prefer better, but for the general movie-going public, I think they would say that this is his best movie, and I can't argue with it. It's so good on so many different levels. I wish we could talk about it more, but, we got to move on here. So anyways, Tyler, I think we have the same number 1. Actually, I know we have the same number 1.
We might. I don't know.
No, I think it's The Departed, right? Right?
Actually, mine's Gangs of New York. Totally joking.
Because I know you're a wild card, man, so I could totally see you like just, yeah, man, Gangs of New York, Daniel Day-Lewis has never been better. And I'd be like, my jaw would legitimately hit the floor. Anyways, of course, it's The Departed, and this is what I actually happen to think is Scorsese's best script. I mean, it's just
I would say it's right up there with it. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I guess performances. I mean, there's so many ingredients that come together that just come together very nicely, and you just have a giant ensemble cast, man. And just like everyone is in this movie.
Yes, and the best part about it is that everyone is so solid. I mean, even Alec Baldwin, for crying out loud.
Dude, he might be like he's like the second or third best character in the whole movie.
He may be. The part where he starts going off on the guy for screwing up the camera placements in the stakeout is so funny. Like, I completely agree with you, man. Alec Baldwin may be one of the third best character in this movie.
And now I know the movie's like a remake of a Asian movie. I forgot the name of it. Do you remember the name?
Yeah, was it Internal Affairs or Infernal Affairs or something like that?
Yeah, that's it. I think it's Internal Affairs. Now, I've never seen that movie, but I don't think I need to because I think this movie's probably better.
It's first of all, it's made by Scorsese, so
yeah. So, yeah. Again, this is another. It's to me, this is the best movie about the mob and the mafia and like dirty cops. Just every. I mean, literally, it's like every single genre. It's like every single Scorsese movie thrown into one. I mean, you have it all here. This is like the quintessential Martin Scorsese movie, and it deservedly so finally won Scorsese's Best Directing Oscar, and it won Best Picture too, which was nice. I just think a lot of the actors should have been nominated. Only Mark Wahlberg was nominated, but
which is a complete shock because if you ask me, this is Leonardo DiCaprio's best performance. I don't care what you think. He is incredible in this movie.
I can respect that.
I mean, in all honesty, he gives such range in this film. He's so subtle, yet when he starts freaking out and when his character starts going under extreme distress and anguish because he has to basically be another person while he's working for Jack Nicholson's Frank Costello. I mean, it's crazy what this guy goes through, and no wonder he starts to crack under the pressure. And I think that was just done flawlessly by DiCaprio, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. But the other performance, and it's a performance that gets me pissed off till the very end, is Matt fucking Damon. That guy, what an asshole, man. He's just always trying to cover up whatever he's doing. He doesn't want to get caught. He's such a slimy little bastard, and up to the very end. And thank God it was Mark Wahlberg who killed him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
why he got the Oscar nomination, dude.
It was so poetic. It was the only way that movie could have ended was by Mark Wahlberg killing him, because you can't have him get away.
No, it wouldn't have been as good.
No way. But all that aside, Mark Wahlberg is great. He's such like a smart ass cop. But there's like scenes where you see he actually does have a heart, and he just wants to take down this asshole Frank Costello. But speaking of Frank Costello, Jack Nicholson is electric. This is still to this day one of his best performances. I mean, I'm not going to say it's like in the top 5 because the man has done some incredible films, but like as of late, from 2000 onward, I would say this is probably his best performance. Am I crazy in saying that?
Oh, I agree. I agree. It is. There's so many good performers that I almost forget about Jack Nicholson being in this movie just because of how, I mean, like, that's not taking anything away from his performance because he gives one of the best performances in the movie. But I mean, we were literally just going through like Matt Damon, Alec Baldwin, Leonardo DiCaprio. He's very good. He's also a very slimy character too.
Oh, he is. I mean, he's a psychopath. I mean, you really start to see it towards the very end when he starts to lose his mind because the cops are like growing in on him even closer. Some of his actions just become so rash, and Nicholson he knocks it out of the park. The diner or the bar scene where he's talking to DiCaprio about rats and he's like doing the little rat movements. It's like, that is so Nicholson. I love it.
I'm trying to think if there's any other performers Vera Farmiga's in this movie too.
Yes, Vera Farmiga. I was about to mention her. Yeah, Vera Farmiga's.
Yes, I cannot forget about her because she's really good in this movie too. Because she kind of plays like she's kind of playing two characters in this movie, you know, like Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio. She kind of has a thing going on with the two of them, and I think she was also very good in this movie too.
She's like the romance version of Jack Nicholson. It's like, cause she's playing both of them, but she does eventually realize that she has to choose one, and so. But anyways, yeah, I mean, she is fantastic in this movie.
I was gonna say, I mean, to me, it's a perfect movie, but I would say every movie in my top 5 is a perfect movie. I mean, it's just Scorsese's. in your top five too, I would agree. Everything in your top five is a perfect movie too. I mean, it's just
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I will say about Casino is that it starts to drag towards the end, but like I'm still like so engaged with the movie. But yeah, I mean, what can we say? Departed, incredible film. If you've never seen it, go watch it. It truly is like a masterpiece for mob films, in my opinion. It's one that I always go back to. I just watched it a couple days ago, honestly. That's why it's so fresh in my head.
one of my favorite parts of that entire movie is the use of "I'm shipping off to Boston."
That's where that song became like iconic, I think, is like because it started with that and it was just like, man,
It did.
It's
Yeah,
good
it
stuff.
did.
I also love the use of "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones at the very beginning with Jack Nicholson doing that monologue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. A lot of good use of music in that movie.
Anyway, so those are our top fives. I will, because you didn't have it on your list, I will say I think, in my opinion, the most underrated Scorsese film is Shutter Island. I really like that movie. I love it.
Yeah, I do. I don't love it, but I like it.
And I'm probably the only one who feels that way, but like, or one of the very few that feel the way. But I feel like it doesn't get enough credit. It is a very interesting movie that had me on the edge of my seat till the very end. But that's an honorable mention, so we're not going to touch on that. But anyways, real quickly, Tyler, do your 5 through 1 again. I'll do my 5 through 1 again, and then we'll wrap this whole thing up.
Yeah, so my number 5 is The King of Comedy. My number 4 is Cape Fear. My number 3 is Taxi Driver. My number 2 is The Wolf of Wall Street. And my number 1 is The Departed, not Gangs of New York.
Boom. There you go. And my number 5 is Casino. Number 4, The Wolf of Wall Street. Number 3, Silence. Number 2, Goodfellas. And of course, number 1, the best Scorsese film out there, The Departed. There you go. Our lists are very different from the norm, I guess you could say, aside from like a few here or there. So yeah, be sure to leave your top 5 Scorsese films in the comments section below. We'd love to hear from you. And then while you're down there, be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to not only our channel at Men vs. Movies for movie reviews and other movie-related content, but subscribe to Tyler's channel at Tyler Tompkins. Just search his name, his channel will pop up. He does YouTube's stuff all around movies. Wow, that wasn't a sentence, but you know what? It works. Tyler, where can everyone find you other than your YouTube channel?
Yeah, you can find me on the YouTubes, and you can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook if you want. Just search my name. I should be like the first one that pops up.
Boom. There you go. And if you like me specifically and you like what I have to say, you can always give me a follow on Twitter at Griff Schiller. It's very late at night right now. I'm exhausted. Hopefully I haven't been too loopy, but until next time, take care.